All right, and we're back cooking with gas. So, how is everyone?
We're doing fine. Or at least I am. I don't know about the rest of these guys.
I mean, I was working on a PowerPoint presentation and forgot it was Friday until I saw like something pop up and I was like, "Hey, you should be doing this." It's like, "Oh yeah, it is Friday, isn't it?"
It is. And let's be honest, would you rather be anywhere else in the world than in the imaginary space where your character exists?
I mean, most days, no.
Fair enough. All right, so everyone remembers where we were and what they were doing, correct?
For the most part, yeah.
So,
Uh-oh.
for those of us just becoming cognizant, which is technically me now that the nicotine is finally actually hitting the system. This, without a
Go
shadow,
stimulants.
yes, without a shadow of a doubt, this is unequivocally the Dark of Bethany. This particular coterie has had their downs, their lowers, and now are on the uptick in regards to what it is they are actually doing. A simple delivery. No more mucking around in the back of beyond. No more hearing and seeing things that should not and quantifiably can't be proven to exist. A simple delivery in regards to their actions in cahoots with Asher to lay low one of the greater physical protectors of Bethany. Their actions directly led to the ostracization and torturing of Renee Logan, the Bruja effective Primogen of Bethany. The why of Asher's actions is anyone's guess. As the keeper of debts, the harpy of Bethany's social structure, his reasons, as per usual, are his own. But in helping this coterie, he has laid low Renee. And while tasked with taking the proceeds of their actions, their assistance of Asher assisting them to Shreveport directly to present Ms. Logan for questioning, to have the answers to what really was going on delved from her torpid mind. As they were on their way to, deliver Ms. Logan to Regent Regina Charlotte, who's the Primogen, while the Regent Burke was otherwise indisposed, they were met at the Chantry by Smith Johnson. Those outside of the political structure of Shreveport are unaware that it is divided into several districts politically. Those unaware of what Shreveport is internally are unaware that it is technically 12 different cities all meshed, combined, and conflated into one existence. Each of the recognized areas of Shreveport, whether it's North Market, North Bossier, East Bossier, South Bossier, the LSUS area, or the Southern Hills area, are quantifiably their own city-states unto themselves, loosely under the umbrella of Shreveport. It's a level of Byzantine machination that most cannot actually untangle, because in regards to the police force, in regards to the political coliseum, their aldermen and representatives and ward bosses and mayors, and it is a conflicted morass. It is also the largest, most important city, both for the mortals as well as the kindred in the area. It occupies the linchpin for each of the 3 states in which rely on its decisions, its commerce, its life's blood. If Shreveport were to fall, you would damn the entirety of North Louisiana, which is pretty much the entirety of Louisiana outside of New Orleans. You would damn the entirety of East Texas. You would, in essence, cripple each and every one of those states irrevocably, irreparably. Which is the reason why Bethany and several other cities along the way, at various points near and dear to Shreveport, act as watchtower cities to keep the Sabbat, to keep the Le Bon, to keep the One Quai, to keep all outside threats either at bay or to effectively light the warning flare so that Shreveport can prepare, rally their forces, and repel. The importance of city-states, domains like Bethany cannot be exaggerated. No matter how high you place the value of cities like Bethany, of domains like Bethany, it still will never quite reach its actual value. Places like Bethany exist all throughout the contiguous United States and is part of the system brought over from Europe in regards to the domains that stretch back into the Dark Ages. A similar idea is used in the Wan Kwai courts of Far East Asia. A similar concept is used throughout the Laban legacies throughout Africa. A few of the same sorts of ideologies and planning and tactics are used all throughout South America. It is a proven, viable necessity, especially as cities and urbanscapes are the life's blood of the kindred. All of that to say, as you all step out of the vehicle, as you all step out of your your Sprinter van with your cargo in tow, and Smith Johnson is there to receive you. There is some measure of stepping off into what you believe to be the shallow end and finding yourselves far beneath the depths, into the places where light doesn't even reach, and the pressure is high enough to cause all of your internal organs to friendly and unfriendly rub a butt and a bruise themselves. Because for those few of you who have ties to Shreveport directly, for those few of you who've traveled the world and had circulated in the environs of Shreveport, there's something teeth rattling about being in the presence of a prince who chooses to meet you alone.
Hello. It's a pleasure meeting you. This is a surprise. He says with a kind of awkward bow.
He rests his hands in his pocket, his thumbs hanging out both pants pockets as he looks you all over, one after the next. You all really should use the delivery port at the rear. We wouldn't want undue attention on what it is that you're delivering. And, well, I hope the pleasure will be mine. Would you like to use your vehicle to park in the rear of the chantry, or would you prefer to walk around?
No sense carrying the cargo out in the open longer than it needs to be?
Excellent. So if you look south just there, there is a alleyway you can utilize to reach the rear parking lot. I'll meet you there.
Yes, sir. He says as he just kind of, the moment the prince is turned and is going to leisurely move, just get in the car, move, go, go.
Maddie will just slide the box back in and climb in on top of it.
And once we're all good and set up to go, well, I guess I'll bring it around to the southern entrance.
In Bethany, as closed in as many of the houses and cul-de-sacs and plantations and estates are, they are stretched and pulled far enough apart where the idea of space just simply becomes natural. It is the normal. Even on the drive-in, as many interchanges and off-ramps as you pass, looking off the expressway north and south and east and west as it turned and moved from Bethany into Shreveport, you were able to see that all of outdoors grew smaller the closer you all got to Shreveport. And while it's not as congested as places like San Francisco or Seattle or Chicago or New York, it is considerably more contained and condensed than all of Bethany. As you all make your way through the alley and into the parking lot, which is quite spacious for such an urban area, you can't help but feel larger of bone, larger of body, more squeezed in on. There's less space to be as small as you are under all of God's great sky. The closeness of the buildings reeks of humanity. The rumble tumble of the bricks beneath the tires of the vehicle, causing you to miss the old ruts in the road and the deer trails and the hiking trails about Bethany. This seems downright concussive to the innards, this up and down, these bricks and slightly paved areas with potholes large enough to stick someone's torso into. It just seems, for lack of a better word, used for a more accurate viewing. It feels dirty. You feel as if you are absorbing the tossed off detritus of society with each and every foot forward into the space. Buildings 6, 7, 8, and 9 stories tall, looming over you, crowding out the sky. And when you reach the parking lot, again, all of those weird buttresses and gargoyles and carved in stone figures all about the top of the temple and the buildings nearby, feeling as if there are hundreds of eyes on you.
Oh. Well, this is unsettling. Can we get inside? We're gonna have to move quickly. Who's carrying the that?
That would be me.
All right. Well, I suppose the southern door is all yours.
Right.
Here, let me. I'll walk ahead, see if I can open it for you. I imagine that thing is unwieldy.
It is. There's nothing like the desiccated corpse of a fallen opponent that you all place there. Because let's be perfectly honest, if not for your joint attack of Ashers, there's no way that Ms. Logan would be so trust. She, after all, was and is considered one of the Primogen level kindred of Bethany, and yet a well-placed misphrasing of fact, a pointed attack to keep her from, in fact, leveling blame at you all, and measurably, for those of small mind and only believing what it is that they see, it makes all the sense in the world based on what you all shared, for there to at least have been some questioning of what it was that actually happened. Because after all, who heard of individuals being trapped in the mirror? Lita, as far as your supernatural education has gone, has any such thing ever been mentioned?
Nothing jumps out at me.
Yet you all say that's exactly what happened. And India, as one of the few outlanders, the wolves of kindred kind, as a gangrel, the myths spread by oral tradition, has there ever been a human breathing entity that was not a lupine that could shift and transform into cats, lions to be exact?
Well, it depends on who you ask, because skinwalkers are a thing, and
Skinwalkers, not
Legend
lupines,
of
right?
Coyote. No, not particularly.
And yet that's exactly what you all said that you saw. And then a blind woman with no eyes who could see. A ringmaster who managed to escape his place of living, his business, into the night and disappear before any kindred could track him down. How probable is that? And I say probable because nothing is impossible but the reality of it, the far reach of what the kindred are, and what over time they grow into being. Should there be a human of any stripe or variety that could escape their notice? You all are apex predators for a reason. It is your existence's reason for being to hunt down mankind. And yet, like Jack Frost lickety split, he was gone. All of this to say is that even at the bare base minimum of intellect, leaving room for any wild vicissitude of fate to take place, there should have been at least a few questions tossed in your direction. Yet Asher stepped in. Asher rushed to you all's defense by mounting an affirmative offense of Miss Logan's associations and her potential targeting of you all as a way of weakening Bethany. Much like hindsight being 2020, all of this is settling in now as you wheel the desiccated corpse that was and is Miss Logan into a mosque, a place of worship. While not as potent as a graveyard that's been blessed and numerous persons of various faiths have applied their energy over time, over generations of family, every religious institution is of themselves a place of some power, provided those who take part actually believe. It's a place where the welling up of prayers and thoughts and just time spent creates an air where the veil between this world and the next is thinner. It creates a place set aside still within this world, but able to touch all that might be divine and all that might be otherwise. So when you all enter this place of worship and feel that electric static crawl along the skin, as Smith Johnson awaits just inside the entryway, holding the door for you all to wheel your parcel in, is there any discussion amongst yourselves?
I would imagine so. Just very quickly and quietly, in a kind of frantic manner as we're going in there, just, all right, everybody, we need to be on our best behavior. I don't know this guy. I don't know anything about how he responds to anything. So, calm, quiet, and polite is the best way to go. Agreed? Yeah, I don't want to stir up anything more than it's already been stirred up, and I think that, well, I know that all is not as it seems.
Maddie will chuckle a little. How about better than your best behavior?
That is scientifically impossible?
Basically just shut the fuck up and don't say anything unless he says something first.
Okay, yeah, that works, I guess.
Joji, did you forget who my parents are?
Yes.
We were raised from a very small age that when we went in the store, we weren't supposed to ask for nothing, don't touch nothing, don't even breathe on nothing too hard.
Oh.
So I know how to behave.
Okay, that's too good. 3 out of 4. Lita, we don't have to worry about you, I don't know, suddenly bursting into hysterics, do we?
Wouldn't be a problem, I wouldn't think.
Alright, great. Awesome. I'm sorry, I need to make a good impression, and I would like to make a good impression. So, and he just continuing down this kind of almost manic train of thought as they get closer until it's an unsafe distance to speak. And then just looks to the prince who's holding the door and is like, right through here then?
Yes, we'll be heading downstairs to the rec room.
Alrighty. He just rolls on through.
Patty will just nod curtly and maneuver the box as best as she can.
That's what I was going to say. And Dia, at some point, watching Maddie, would have joined in helping her carry and stabilize the box. Because 4 hands are better than 2.
Clearly, you frequent massage places. At least someone appreciated that off-color joke. So there is the known and there is the unknown, and then the smartest of us, the most intelligent of us, understand that what we know is always far less than what actually is and what potentially is. There are more than a few quotes, parables, monologues, and the like, attesting to the wild, wondrous nature of the world in which we inhabit. The kindred being an aspect of that wild, wondrous nature in the fact of their forever night, their unending darkness, because that's what their immortality is. As you all thump, 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 thump down the 33 steps, the stone and marbleized floor that you left there at the entryway, giving way to plaster and clapboard, giving way to large gray brick. There is a warmth that you all enter into. While the daylight hours of Bethany and the early evening hours are usually unseasonably warm, there is some breeze, some small bit of coolness that settles in at night, that knowledge and that feel of elsewhere. Not everyone, but most of your living relatives during your days of life could tell you when rain was in the offing, whether it's going to be a dry season or it's going to be a hot one, based on the touch of the breeze that gently moves through, or oftentimes the opposite of gently move through. So as you all move from the congested, closed-in, oppressive grayness of Shreveport into the warmth of the basement, those of you with an academics of 1 or more would have a hard time not seeing yourselves as Orpheus entering into hell. Those of you with an performance of having read some of the plays and poems of old, the mythologies of old, would have a hard time not seeing yourselves as sojourners into the realms written by Milton. Those of you with just growing up with old 80s and 90s cartoons would find it impossible that you are not at the precipice of a quest. You've passed the point of moving back into your previous existence. You've hit that point in the road where it is farther going back than forward. Some people call it the point of no return. Some political pundits call it the tipping point. Whatever it is you decide to give it a name of, you have officially arrived at the point where the Asian curse of "may you come to the attention of your betters" has been realized. Because as you all exit into the warm, almost oppressively warm basement, you realize that you are not alone in all these open, wide, wandering rooms. You are in the presence of power, both mortal, spiritual energy, as well as the green-haired blonde who's lounging there with Miguel Ruiz sitting on a stool, his elbows resting on his knees as he flips one page of a magazine and licks his finger and turns another, looking up at you from beneath his brow as you, following Smith Johnson, roll the crate further in. Just a little bit further, and we'll deposit it in one of the side rooms. You all will be carrying back news and word to the Prince of Bethany once a decision has been reached, and for that you all will remain until, well, our chambers are over. I'm sure you all have met and know of Harpy Ruiz, correct?
Yes.
Excellent. Things get uncomfortably less hospitable as you all wheel the cart further and further in, and the lights get dimmer and dimmer. As you move further and further in, past one room and past the next, around the corner, and a slight incline downward still, the floor gives way to actual dirt. It's compacted, tamped down dirt. The actual earth. Which is an odd thing to feel, to see in a built upon modern structures such as this mosque. As you all quietly finally reach the end point, you realize that in the rooms that you've passed, you've seen not one, but at least a few individuals dressed in tactical SWAT gear. As you've all moved through the room, you see the Banu Hakim Primogen, Masha, in her headgear, resting and talking with Mr. Nangop, the somber Primogen. As you all make your way further and further into this mosque lower regions, you are sure that you see a cowboy wearing a skeleton's face, but you can't be too positive. And as what takes the bulk of your attention as you keep moving is the cherubically bright, smiling young lady talking to herself, even though as you approach the room that she's in, you can swear you hear at least 7 voices. But as you pass, there's just one cherubically short-haired Latinx woman sitting there talking to herself.
Certainly busy tonight.
No more than usual. We are, in fact, quite busy presently, but that's to be expected due to the time of the season and the arrival of so many other individuals that we would much rather not deal with.
I see.
As we're walking along, seeing into different rooms, India, noticing that there are other groups, not just the Tremere here, she would kind of keep an eye out for her sire.
Ditto. With a growing dread as he is yet to spy her. Actually, on that note, give me just a moment.
Maddie is just keeping her head down and doing her job.
Real quick, Nobu, refresh me. Was Kaylin not the harpy up here?
No, she's the harpy of Las Vegas now. You've
Okay,
been out of the loop, haven't you? You haven't been in Shreveport in a while.
I haven't been in Shreveport in a while, yes, but I, the individual, don't remember if the title Harpy was what she held while she was up here, or if she held a different title.
Oh no, she was a harpy.
Okay, alright. Then that is definitely going to be something, because he heard that the Harpy's name was Ruiz, and that is big no-no energy. And unfortunately, I'm not... Sorry, Joji is not the type to be able to fully hold himself back, as he just kind of... Prince, since we seem to have the time while traveling, is it fine if I ask a question?
I don't believe I should, but of course it depends on the question.
As it refers to the new Harpy, I was wondering what happened to the kindred who held the prior position? Miss Ellis?
Ah. You are acquainted with the former harpy?
Yes.
Excellent. My next communications with Las Vegas, I'll pass along your concern, or is it word of encouragement? Or is it merely a belated celebratory congratulations upon her?
I suppose it... Wait, Vegas?
Yes, Las Vegas, Nevada.
She's... I suppose it depends on the nature of her transfer, whether or not it's a congratulations or not.
Those who displease me don't move on to better.
I see. Then a congratulations it is.
As Choji's talking to the prince, Maddie's eyes are just a little wider than usual, like, oh my fucking god.
It's a little unfortunate that I wasn't able to see her during our visit up here. I get these so infrequently, but I'm glad to hear that she's doing well.
Well, that is yet to be seen. The potential is there. The situation is fraught. I'm not quite sure you understand the nature of what it is that we are.
I am always open to be educated.
He pauses. You all are still one or two rooms from where you need to deposit the crate. But he pauses his steps. And quite professorially slips his hands into his pockets, and his coat hangs so fetchingly from him as he strikes a pose with the wane light behind him, casting a shadow over his brow and making it seem as if he's carved out of stone in this particular moment. His breathing all but non-existent. His movement equally absent. Just the sound of his voice. And if you weren't looking at him when he spoke, it would appear as if he's throwing his voice. Each of you gathered here today are our strongest and best allies in Bethany, just like everyone else. Each of you here today, all of those others we've passed along the way, are our strongest and brightest and best hope of surviving this little nation of ours, this domain of Shreveport. And yet, each and every last one of you are our most ardent enemies, to us and to yourselves. Each of you carries the opportunity of betrayals untold. Each of you are competitions for the not quite scarce, but still very non-renewable resource that we need to survive. Each and every last one of you could be so very much more than what you are, and each and every last one of you will be so very much less than everything you could be. Because of the conflicted nature of what we are, many, rarely survive the first decade. Others physically survive until several generations of generations have passed, but nothing of what they once were exists. Some hide in their books. Most try to wait out forever, doing nothing, depriving the world and our society of all they could be. And there's a razor's edge that we walk every step of the way in this endless night that we share. But we should continue on. Every second still is an absence of motion forward towards our goal.
Of course. Lead on. And then while just kind of silently mulling over the prince's words, Joji will follow along. trying desperately not to fixate on the little tidbit of news.
Your sire left the region without telling you. Not only left the region, left the states that abut all that you are. Your home, your being, your existence is Bethany. Unlike some, you weren't in Bethany as a punishment. Unlike some, you didn't land there because you made a mistake. Unlike some, you considered Bethany home. So as you all finally reach your final destination, he instructs you to place the cart there, unpack Miss Logan so that she can alight upon the earthen stone like altar. We will have to resuscitate her soon, but first there's some conversation that must be had with the other members of the Primogen as we decide whom is lucky enough to question Miss Logan. I'll leave you all to watch over your Primogen, and I'll return shortly, and then we might commence.
Understood.
Maddie will put the box down where indicated and give a curt nod, sir.
I suppose after she sets the box down, we'll skedaddle, as ordered.
That wasn't what was said. You all watch over your Primogen.
Oh, I thought the Primogen were out in the hallway.
The Primogen.
No, our Primogen from Bethany that we're transporting.
Oh. Sorry, I kind of forgot that fucking Logan was a Primogen.
Maddie will take up the, traditional position.
Joe, sit down and begin brooding.
Did y'all not hear the part where we gotta take her out and put her up there?
Do you really think I have the... He kind of flexes his arm in a boom boom firepower. Do you really think I got the strength to do that? Gesturing over to Maddie, the one who nearly single-handedly lifted the entire box, and her would be perfect to just position her up there, if you would. Sorry, Maddie, to just fling the physical labor at you, but it is kind of your forte.
Yeah, you wouldn't be the first to think that.
Maddie, don't worry about it, girl. I got it. Lord help me, that boy cream puff. And she pops the top off the crate.
This is exactly how I'd win in my youth. I'd show a little bit of interest in how the tractor works, and not what the tractor does, and all of a sudden, boom, you're a nerd.
Quick question. As you pop the lid of the crate off, as you prepare to unpack Ms. Logan, Primogen Logan, whose sister actually is in New Orleans as well. But as you do so, I need to ask you, do any of you all presently have heightened senses up?
Yeah, baby.
Nah.
I'm walking into the den of the lions. Why would I not?
Well,
I don't have it at all, so.
would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus insight, Joji, with your bonus of heightened senses?
Oh, no. Alright, so, 5 plus, so 7. Use current, difficulty, and boom! Firepower.
$21 grams is the proven weight of the human soul. 21 grams is not much weight at all, but it is an immediate loss in weight upon the moment a person dies. So that's what the common understanding of it is. That's the weight of the human soul. That's all that it is, as far as people are concerned. A more rational understanding of that is that all of the bioelectric energy moving through a person that ceases causes that vibrational weight to dissipate. The engine is no longer running, so the car doesn't idle. As all of the bioelectric energy that a person generates is no longer being generated, it's just the flesh, it's just the bones. They are once more just a semi-solid bag of liquid. Heightened senses provides the understanding and grasp of the world around you. All of that energy, having that annoying little buzz at the back of your head as you hear that electricity that every living thing, every unliving thing, and most of modern technology generates on a constant basis. That interference, that bioelectric energy constantly being generated in heat, and while it is not the same frequency for the undead, it is still there. Save now. The scent that hits your nose is one of moldering. The scent that hits your nose is meat allowed to be unembalmed in the warmth of Bethany.
This is one of those it doesn't actually pay to have heightened senses moments. Just kind of as he's sitting there and the seal is cracked and the various experiences flood out from the once contained coffin. Just that's rancid.
Perk up an eyebrow at him, not say anything.
Smells like several day-old sun-baked corpse.
India, having decided to stay on the hinged side as she pulled it up just in case, peeks down over the side. Ah, fuck. Wait a minute. Did they send us with a dead one?
We're all dead ones, he says from his brooding corner.
You know what the hell I mean.
Maddie will peek in at the body.
Yep, desiccated. Nicely desiccated. The sort of desiccating that happens when you get that steak right in on the first time, and all of that vitae is, not that you've seen it done too often, but all that vitae is slowly and painfully drawn out with just a trickle of human blood coursing the lips, just enough to let the kindred who is being punished understand there could be more, but because of their actions there won't be. Not that you
Oh yeah, that's yeah, she done pissed someone off.
Yeah, I think she pissed
let's get her up there.
The entirety of Bethany's ruling council off.
I mean, did she do that really, or was it kind of like?
Hey, shh. He just kind of shushes her.
I mean, she just had a little help, that's all.
I mean, she ain't never had a nice word to say about nobody that I found, but I don't know about this here. And then she just very delicate, like she's handling a newborn steer, and lifts her up and puts her on the stone.
Oh God, she looks like a fucking Halloween decoration.
Nah, I've seen worse.
I mean, yeah, it's certainly not the worst thing I've seen. Thank you, Internet. It's definitely up there.
Body warm though, it's weird.
What, like temperature, like room temperature warm? Because it's pretty sweltering down here.
No, kind of like it got its own heat.
That's very odd.
You seem worse on the internet. What kind of sites are you looking at?
I'm just saying, it wasn't hard in the early 2000s to get a hold of some really fucked up shit.
But why would you go looking for it?
So y'all not even a little bit concerned that she's warm? And we're
No.
like, I don't see no blood bags or nothing in there with her.
It just kind of, there's this moment of realization as Joji just goes, like, there's something watching me still, before he makes eye contact with India, then Maddie, then Lita, and just, no, I'm not concerned about her. I think she'll be just fine.
Lita, as the resident mistress of the dead, the actual bodiless dead that exists right atop this world that we inhabit, bodies, even actual full-fledged living bodies, are never warm once they're no longer in use. Kindred bodies even less so. The only time that there's an approximation of warmth is when there is enough vitae coursing through their systems for them to blush and feel or act as closely alive as they can.
That's true. The only time to be warm is if she's running the blush of life.
Well, that's obviously not happening. Say, do you guys feel a draft?
I don't think so. But see, the thing is, I'm about to ask. I don't know a lot of how this works, but can somebody else make you blush, or do you have to do it yourself?
Well, normally somebody else does something and that makes you blush. Unless, of course, you're a very dirty-minded individual. Oh,
like
you're talking
you and
about
those
that
websites
blushing.
from back in the 2000s?
Not that kind of terrible shit.
India practically jumps a foot like a cat that somebody stepped on its tail, letting the body flop to the stone. Oh, hell no!
What? He stands up, starts moving towards her.
Maddie'll go over and pick up the body.
She touched me.
Okay. Look, yeah, just quickly put it where it's supposed to go, and then get the hell away from it. There are more things in here than I can see. And that might be what's fucking with it.
Ah, fuck. Maddie'll put it down and
Okay, so just make distance from it, and I guess hope it doesn't stand up.
What I imagine happens is like at a high school dance when the kids aren't quite into the idea of dancing with each other yet, and the girls are on one side and the boys are on the other, and they're staring at each other hard, but nobody goes to the center of the floor. That's what happens.
As we're all just... Do you want to go fuck with it? I don't want to go fuck with it.
Maddie will put it down and arrange the body like it's sleeping. She'll wink at it in response and, take up her bodyguard position, like near its feet or something.
So, I know you might still be a little too close to that thing, but yeah, where you're at, perfect. Just, I don't know. I'll let you know if it's moving more than it should be. I'll keep an eye on it.
Really, any movement is a problem.
Yeah, but like, what are we gonna do? Ash her? We're not. That would be terrible. Does anybody got like some rope or something? I don't think that they would be against us tying her down.
Why would you do that? Says the voice that India hasn't heard in about 15 years.
Do I know the voice? I'm pretty sure I know the voice, but do I know the voice?
You do. You do. The voice that killed you. The voice that gave you the opportunity of earning your forever.
For the second time in as much as a half hour, she is up near the ceiling.
Okay, hello, he says as he's looking around for the source of the voice.
That's the problem with heightened senses versus sense the unseen. Because as long as the voice is conversational or just barely above a whisper, they are absolutely invisible.
Beautiful. Okay, lovely. That's not disconcerting.
Well, it's supposed to be. And she eases into view as she steps forward out of the deeper corner of shadow. She is dressed in a drab gray tactical vest, cargo pants, and a sleeveless tunic underneath. She is wearing a jungle cap, which is a head covering that only has the front bill, but it extends further out so that any rain or inclement dew doesn't land in the eye, still providing you vision. She has 2 earrings in each ear, one large dangling bit of bamboo and string that very much looks like a dream catcher made just for her. And she's naked, carrying a medium power handgun on her left hip and a machete length combat tactical knife on her right. Her skin is dark enough where you expect blemishes or something, but it is absolutely flawless. There's no acne, no scars, no. The disconcerting thing is that her eyes, instead of being the expected warm coffee or warm caramel brown, is a very eerie, husky-like sky blue.
Well, that's some nice gear you got there.
Left-handed, that's unique.
I'm just glad I don't have to use it.
India knows why her eyes are still blue because she spent a lot of time in the beast. So that's the thing that won't switch back.
Alright, is India gonna share that little secret out loud with everybody? And share
Oh
everybody?
no, she knows better. But instead of sharing a secret, she's going to look at her sire and kind of give her a polite head nod and keep her distance.
She gets a smile, which, let's be perfectly honest, looks like a sneer. Because for all of her calm, placid tone of voice, there is something very much visceral about her. And it's not just the bristling of weapons that she's wearing. The fact that she is here on what one would believe is Elysium, loaded for bear. Every kindred here knows that a gun is only as effective against another kindred as the kindred using it. It's a stiff punch. It can tip the battle, but short of a shotgun, a gun is a good punch. So it's less successful than it would be if you all had been alive. Yet here she is, very competently bristling with weapons that are designed, or seem to be in her hands, designed to lay kindred low.
Are you back up?
No. And for the record, hey Andy, how many winners so far?
Maddie will, as an aside to Joji. Yeah, we're not important enough to have backup.
Yeah, I don't know. I figured that he thumbs over towards the corpse might be what's warranting extra protection, but I get this is more of a family thing.
Very, not quietly, but just loud enough for her sire to hear. I'm at 10 now.
Almost ready. Good. Keep at it, girl. And the moment that is shared, or that little small exchange is shared, Maddie, speaking to Joji about that thing, about Miss Logan, speaking about it brings back that flash of a second from when you met its eyes and winked at it. It brings back a flash of a moment that you moved right past without any real hurdles. Partially because of the many grueling moments of training, and partially due, it is not your intention, nor has it ever been your intention, to be the causer of any harm of another. And so its whispers, its unspoken sentiments, its unspoken cries of aid and assistance, its demanding for revenge went right over your head. But the moment that Joji mentions it again, you realize in the now, seconds later, moments later, that it reached out to you. And that's an impossibility for something actually in torpor. Being staked, yes. But in torpor, to the point where your flesh desiccates, it is impossible to use or reach out or communicate with the world around you. Yet it did. And did so quickly and quietly. And had you not been whom you are, would have been completely successful. How many of your coterie mates have already been influenced it without them knowing?
Eddie'll let out a deep sigh and kind of bow her head a little bit. I'm sorry, ma'am. Is Marcus Black here by any chance?
You mean Magister Black?
Yeah.
I don't believe at present. He's not one of the actual Primogen. However, if you wish, not far from here, 2 rooms over, there's Primogen Charlotte, who should be able to get word to whomever you need.
Miss Charlotte will do just fine. I just have a bit of a personal connection to Mr. Black. You said just a couple rooms down?
Yes.
She'll nod. All right then. I'll be back in a few minutes, I hope. Don't look that thing in the eye. Or just toss something over its head, I guess. And she'll walk out and go a couple rooms down.
Just kind of pull a shop rag out of his coat, just toss it over the desiccated head.
Not a very nice way of treating your Primogen.
I had nothing better?
Sorry, but you gotta understand the whole thing behind this. A couple nights ago, we went through quite a bit trying to stop that there circus making it through the Shreveport, and stuff happened, and we're all still a little jumpy.
Why don't you tell me exactly what happened?
She looks at the rest of them to see whether they feel like this is okay, because she doesn't want to get them in any further trouble.
Just kind of understanding that speaking in this moment between the two of them would be third wheeling, just kind of slowly going back to my brood corner.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Did you? Was I to? Do you need me to say something?
Yeah, no, that's what, she was looking to Joji to see if he was okay with her sharing what they had been through. That's
Yeah, no, that's an implicit yes from me. I don't. You say what you need to say. You're your own woman. Yeah. That's cool. It's fine. If you trust them, I trust them.
Well, apparently nobody knew that they had landed until they landed, and that means they either snuck by somehow or had help sneaking by. And when we got there, there were a lot of strange things happening, like women that could turn into lions, and a man with no skin, and a woman with tattoos that changed and moved like pictures. And the ringmaster trapped us in a trailer full of mirrors and tried to get us to fall into them, but we got away. And then there was a blind lady who could see real well while still being blind. She was very creepy, and she cut herself open in front of us, and it seemed to free something or another. I don't know exactly what, but they seemed to have planned it on the way there, and he was not surprised to see us when we came to him, which is why he trapped us in the trailer. But we got out, and then everything went dark, and we had tried to get in contact with everybody, but for some reason the sending stones weren't working right, like they had been messed with. And we saw little children with weird sharp teeth that wanted our help. And we got away from them with help when the Primogen showed up in the car. And then we went back to the chantry to talk about it. But there were, very much scary. I kept hearing my brother. And I know he's dead, but I kept hearing him. He kept telling me to run when those baby children were around, and it was very scary.
We have several reasons for gathering tonight. One of them is there is the arrival of an addition to the chantry here that, well, her pedigree seems almost too good to be true. Mariella Marshall from out east. At the behest of some region or other who calls himself DuSable. And we have an unfortunate amount of issues with Lucky and his cadre of individuals, SOB, Cadence, and Jessela, and Gustav Hedrick, a known apocryphal researcher. As they've not broken any other traditions, there's not much that Smith Johnson has prepared to do. So they do. You all, with your present issues and dilemmas, and the message that you brought with you, may just be the thing. So I need to know, now that we are free of most of the Tremere, did Asher involve you in the plan because you need to be dispatched, or did he involve you in the plan because you are allies?
Allies.
It is 44 after the hour. With that question hanging over each of our heads, we will take a quick 10 here. And when we return, we will see how Maddie fares speaking with the Tremere Primogen of Shreveport and vicariously Bethany. Sorry. Okay. Unmute. Sorry about that, folks. A few seconds longer than expected, but everybody back?
All good.
Here.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, as promised, while that conversation is in fact taking place in the primary hearth of the church, as hinted that realities are slowly unveiling themselves. There is a often touted chestnut, a little bit of American mythology that everyone instinctually knows or has heard at some point in their existence. That, of course, being you can never return home again. You can never go home again. What is in the past is in the past forever. At least that's what everyone takes from the title of that particular novel. And has become part of the fabric of American idealism and the wistfulness rushed towards whatever glory and fate has in store for you. The sad truth for Maddie in this moment is that while believed you can never go home again, being here in this chantry, which has become or had become a symbol of Smith Johnson's power. Because, to be perfectly honest, mosque, temples, anything specifically non-Catholic, non-Abrahamic, and Christian is an oddity and a target for at least derision anywhere and everywhere in America, but especially south of the Mason-Dixon line, which Shreveport is. The fact that the mosque had been scheduled for destruction, renovation, revitalization, a score of times over and over and over. And yet, due to the interference and control that Smith & Johnson has over Shreveport, each and every time it skirts by, it skates by, money flows into it to keep it updated, to keep its facade clean, fixed, and looking pristine. It is a symbol of all that he can bring to bear, even as he is not the regent nor the primogen of the Tremere of Shreveport. He is the prince. And many times over and over again, you've been educated here. You've been brought here. You escorted others as muscle here. So there is more than a little nostalgia as you walk these halls, as you are allowed to exist free of anyone actually over your shoulder, as you are allowed to traipse and go from room to room. Because the open secret of this particular chantry house, of this mosque, is that each of these rooms are effectively sovereign territory of the clans that they have been given to. Inside those rooms, inside those separate, divisible, empty chambers that you've all passed on your way to the central altar of the place, the heart of the mosque, is roughly sovereign territory to the clan to which the Primogen resides. No Primogen, no sovereign territory, no symbol of your clan strength here in Shreveport. So much like the kid allowed to hang with the adults, or at least outside of the adults, or sit on the stairs while the adults party into the late evening, you haven't gone home again. You have returned to a place where you were not you, where you learn to be whom and what you are.
Maddie will kind of let her head take that stroll down memory lane and come up to the right door. Is it open or closed?
As is always the case, all of the doors to which the Tremere don't wish anyone to enter are closed. Unlike the other doors that were left ajar, and in one or more cases there isn't actually a door on the room or the antechamber, the Tremere door is thick, solid. It's the sort of thing that could be used as a battering ram if taken off its hinges. There's scroll work to the upper left quadrant of the door. There's scroll work in the bottom right of the door, catacorner from each other, forming what appears to be, in the mind, as you connect invisible things, an X. The handle is brass, hand tooled. And there's an honest to goodness welcome mat sitting on the floor in front of the door.
All right. Well, then she will knock on it with, whatever particular knock she was given the last time she was here, which was probably a couple of years. Might be out of date, but
Would you be so kind as go ahead and roll your either intelligence and occult or intelligence and blood sorcery?
all right. That'll be blood sorcery because that's better by all of one.
That makes all the difference in the world. The commonality and the common understanding of what the Sphinx is were riddles and mysterious phrases that only the very smart could answer. Only the truly intelligent could outwit the Sphinx long enough to not be eaten. Yet, and as is always the case with magic, as is always the case with such things, that was not and is not the purpose of riddles. The riddle and the mystery is about being able to think in a certain path of logic. Other answers could easily solve the riddle. However, the trick of the riddle was to think in the correct path, in the correct line. As she raises her hand to knock with the password that she'd been given several years ago, she pauses. Not one of her fortes, not one of her strengths, but there is an understanding of these things. The knock was always accompanied by, and she realizes it, stepping forward onto the welcome mat. And as she raises her fist to knock, instead of actually making contact with the door, Maddie speaks into the ether, "Thank you for welcoming me." And the door opens. Inside, because the door did, of course, unlatch itself, no one bothers to jump to alarm, no one bothers to stop conversation. So you'll enter, if you do, finding Primogen Charlotte, her bodyguard, Carl Wright, and her chief advisor, her secundus, her secondary, her strong right hand, her left side partner, Marcus Black. Dressed very much as if he's just come from a consultation or a physical. He looks towards the door, quirks a brow, and begins to laugh. Oh my goodness, of all people. Come in, close the door. Don't want to let the draft in.
Maddie will walk in and close the door gently behind her.
How is Bethany treating you? I don't.
It's, no. I wish it was a pleasure that I was here for, or, study, but, no, we got that body next door, and, apparently, even though it's, all nice and desiccated, it's still, doing things like, I don't know, trying to influence my mind.
That's a good thing that you're as strong as you are, isn't it? Well, that wasn't supposed to befall you, but, well, to make a good cake, you must crack a few eggs.
Yeah, well, it's not exactly normal.
It's not supposed to be. Regent Wolvern did inform you and instruct you, correct?
There was supposed to be more instruction other than chase that little carnival out of town.
I see. Maddie, I've always treasured you for your body. However, I do need you to be more than that now. You've been embroiled in matters far above your pay grade, but I need you to act as if it is not. Can you do this for us? For you?
Yeah, when do I not?
When have you been asked? This is the one opportunity that you have to demure. While we have the moment of privacy, and as he says that, you notice that unlike all of the other rooms, this one is lit by candlelight. Several differing 3-wick, 1-wick, 2-wick candles light the room. The electronic lights overhead completely off, completely cold, dark. But the candles cast enough light across the room to make it homey, to make it comfortable. Provide just enough light, flickering though it is in all of its black glory, to keep the space well lit.
Maddie will walk in and get in a little closer. Not super cozy, but, almost cozy.
You have got to understand that Bethany, Marcus, will you allow? Of course, I'm sorry, Primogen. Do the honors, please. I just feel that with my and Maddie's close proximity to one another, that it would be easier to wrap her mind around what it is that we are about. And perhaps have a more preferable outlook. But if you wish to bandy about your position and your sororal engagement, go right ahead. Fine, Marcus. Go ahead. Just go right ahead. As you wish, Primogen. As you wish. Smiling, he says, Manny, before I go on, it is clear that you've come to relay some information. What might that be?
Mostly it was just the weirdness that's going on with that body. But there's been a few other things going on since that circus. Did they send any word ahead of what happened?
The word that reached was that Primogen Logan had, in fact, sought to undermine your efforts to otherwise thoroughly weaken the protections for Bethany.
Yeah, that too. So you know how they do that lottery thing where, you're called to go do your duty and do something for the city, and then you get called again a few years, that happy thing. Well, I and my friends in the room across the hall, it was apparently our turn. Not a big deal, but at that circus, so there was a lady that turned into a cat. I mean, not like a little cat, like a lion cat. We had all sorts of things going on. There was a lady there. I would really call her a prophetess. She's blind, but she saw things, and the ringmaster somehow managed to trap some of us in his trailer, which led into some sort of mirror dimension. I got trapped in there for a couple hours. Then the lights went off. Then craziness happened. Apparently something called mirrory got out, according to this prophetess, before she died and turned to dust. Not one of us, though.
That is quite a lot. So forgive me. As I offer you more from the buffet of instances that are on your plate. You did attest that you would assist in every way that you possibly could. I must reiterate that. You did have the opportunity to withdraw your presence from what is in the undertaking. And again, I must stress that. We are in a time of upheaval. We, the powers that be, through proxy, and he points to himself, through actuality of status, and he points to the Primogen, and through iron-fisted fascism, are beset. Your assistances, or your present assistance with bringing forth Miss Logan, we are under the understanding that it is part and participle of a coup attempt to ensure that Prince Carlson Garcia is eventually laid low and Smith Johnson is no longer a factor. We have not decided on whom we, the Jameer of Shreveport, will assist. Will we stand in the way of what could be considered progress, or will we maintain the status quo.
Oh.
Your present trap that you followed into in Bethany, did you do so willingly? Is Asher a compatriot, a friend, a camaraderie associate? Or have you been bamboozled into this present situation?
Well, that's hard to tell, honestly. You called up, you do your duty, just like you taught me.
In your present estimation, what of your coterie? Are they willing to assist the regime change, or are they on the side of the status quo? Because I'm sure you understand that either direction works for us in one way or another.
But if I had to put a guess, I would say they're on the side of whichever lets them live longer. Though, I do seem to believe now that one of them had ties to the Harpy here, judging by the conversation he had with the prince as we were walking down the hall.
The present Harpy or the former?
The one that just moved to Vegas.
Oh, Kaylin. I see.
Yeah. He asked about her by name, so...
And his relationship with Harpy Ruiz?
non-existent that I know of.
So in your estimation, knowing what you do of the present situation before us, what gathered associates do you believe we should throw our hats in with?
The only one I'm not entirely sure about is the girl with the death mask. There's another one that kind of showed up in the middle of the whole thing that I'm not too sure about. I don't really know her that well. But the pretty boy and the rodeo girl, I think they're pretty solid.
And who should we back? We, the Tremere. Regent Burke is presently on his way to Bethany. We'll be able to reach out to him in a few moments once he's arrived in Bethany. He has left this decision with Primogen Charlotte. And to be perfectly honest, being as if both require the near same amount of effort on our part, one is as good as the next, especially as in either situation, in either outcome, we, the Tremere, will be in positions of standing.
Well, my instinct would be just out of pure adversarial malice, whichever option would knock Connor on his ass a peg or two. But That's probably not the best for us as a whole.
But it is. It most assuredly is. Adjutant Connor and Regent Wolfen are unaware of this conversation. In fact, they're the reason why we are having it. They intercepted communications that point towards Asher potentially seeking to stage a coup. And they are opposed to Asher, to Harpy Asher from ever being able to carry out such things. Regent Berg is headed there now to either dispatch, enslave, or re-educate, based on whatever decision that we, i.e. Primogen Charlotte, comes to. So your initial vote, your initial consideration, is to assist surreptitiously as possible the potential coup.
Asher is he's not a horrible guy. Don't know him that well, but he seems to mean well from my limited conversation with him.
Excellent. This is a good thing. That being the case, Miss Marshall, would you be so kind? The moment he says Miss Marshall, Ella reveals that she has been standing cloaked, as it were, obfuscated to sight, not all that far from where you were standing. This is Acolyte Marshall of the Second Circle of Mystery, formerly of the Chicago area. Mariella, may I present to you Maddie, my childer, whom I take it you are preparing to assassinate, if need be. No. I don't actually believe in outright violence, and you can only assassinate important people. It would be murder if I wished to do such a thing. Though, depending on who wins this little coup that you guys are doing, it would just quantify as killing. And I wouldn't do that without provocation, actual provocation, my life on the line. I have seen more than enough friends die. Hi, Maddie. I'm Mariella.
So very nice to meet you, Mariella.
It's a pleasure to meet you, too. So, while these folks talk, now that you've delivered your message, I'm going to take me back and introduce me to your coterie so I can see who's lying to us and who's going to be a problem. And then you do what it is that, well, I've heard you are capable of doing.
On what you heard.
Oh, she's heard about that lovely little instance where you throttled the young woman with your bare hands.
Which one?
Exactly.
Yeah, all right.
I'm your lie detector for your associates. And anyone who's not with the plan, I'll let you know and you end their existence before they can escape and spread word, just in case they are on the wrong side of history.
In for a penny, in for a pound.
That's what I always say. Of course, it got me into an ungodly amount of trouble. Hopefully this time things will be different. my sire. Well, we'll talk about that later. I'm sure we're going to be the absolute best of friends.
Sure sounds like it. Well, if you don't mind, I'll see myself out and I'll take this lovely young woman with me.
Good on you. It is always a pleasure to see you, Maddie. Hopefully things are so much better for you moving forward. Especially being as you'll have to relocate here, of course, until the dust settles. But we'll talk about that later. Off you go.
You make her way towards the door with her new friend Mariella.
Maddie, have you ever had the opportunity of having a real slice of Chicago pizza? I have the absolute craving for it since I've gotten out here. Now, mind you, I can't eat anything. But I do so much want the opportunity of at least holding a good slice in my hands. Your pizza sucks, by the way.
I don't know. I've never really lived anywhere but this little area here.
So you've never had good Mexican. You've never had good pizza. You've never had a beautiful Italian beef sandwich or a brat on a bun, beer boiled in beer, loaded with kraut and cheese and mustard.
Nah.
Damn shame. And on that note, as you all make it back to the room, there's one additional person that shouldn't have been here in this room. Now, Mariella, entering with you all, takes that number and flips it on his ear a little bit. Because as she enters in with you, there's a knowing glint of an eye from Bro, who didn't bother to introduce herself, but all the same, she looks towards Mariella, then looks towards you, then looks towards Maddie, who's already said yes, and then looks towards Lita. You were saying?
Lita?
Yes.
You were saying Maddie's already agreed and is on the right boat. What about yourself?
Well, what are my options?
The options of agency. Yes. No. And whatever accommodates those choices.
I will go with yes then.
Now, Ms. Love, you understand that I care for you deeply and I know that you have the strength to survive. So, it is with the heaviest of heart that I present you with the exact same choice. Yes. Or no.
Kind of head tilts for a minute thinking about this because usually when she says yes, bad things happen and shit gets fucked up. But there's that tiny part of her that knows probably not the best answer right now. Looking at her siren, looking at Maddie. I mean, I guess. I mean, we're doing this.
It does appear as if we are. So that you all are aware, we are on the precipice of changing everything. There has never been before been a familial relation in both Prince and Primogen anywhere. Over the next few weeks, if everything works out the way that it's supposed to, we will have Prince Charlotte and Primogen Charlotte of Shreveport. Primogen Nangolp is already with us, along with Primogen Moshe. She likes Masha, but I say Moshe on purpose to antagonize her. The others are, as of yet, undecided. But that gives 3 Primogen, the sheriff, the regent, the seneschal, and myself, along with our forces actually in Bethany to change the regime. And while we would love to spare my sire, Princess Carlson Garcia, her sense of loyalty does not allow her to not, in fact, defend with her last breath Shreveport as it is. And until and unless we are successful before she has the opportunity to act, she will wage ungodly war through all of her associates, her contacts, her retainers, and her own bloody claw to prevent that from happening. I've tried to convince her to have an open mind to what tomorrow, tonight, today might bring. But I've had to do so without ever revealing exactly what may transpire. Hence the reason for Asher's plan in removing her strong right hand, Miss Logan. There is still the issue of Sheriff Pierre Valentin to deal with, but that can be arranged with your help and your assistance. And as far as your mystical issues, hi guys, that's where I come in. For the record, I'm Mariella. I'm from out east, Chicago to be exact. Well, actually I grew up in, but never mind, Chicago. And I can help you all wage the war that you need to wage to make sure that you all win, at least against the spiritual attack you all are under.
Oh, that'll be great.
Well, it's something.
It is, isn't it? I have to admit, normally we have a speech, maybe share a little vitae so that everyone's on the same page. But I think you all look very, very upstanding and forthright. Now, just so that I can be comfortable and you can be comfortable with me being comfortable, because we're going to be working together so closely going forward as we take out the Prince of Bethany in whatever way we can, hopefully without having to end them. And we defeat whatever it is that's attacking you all spiritually. and we make sure that Smith Johnson is no longer the Prince of Shreveport, I need to feel comfortable so that you feel comfortable with me feeling comfortable so that we can have as much success as possible. So in your own words, what is it we're going to be doing?
He just kind of looks about amidst the coterie, just
Maddie will chuckles like, well, it sounds like we're going to have a lot of fun. Also, Joji over here, he's traveled a bit. He might be able to figure out that Chicago pizza for you.
what about Chicago pizza?
The absolute single best pizza in the entirety of the world. I've tried St. Louis. I've tried New York. I've tried... Oh God. Oh God. Whatever you do, don't have pizza in Mississippi. But so far, there's nothing absolutely better. And while I can't eat it anymore, getting a good slice, just holding it and absorbing all of that warmth and all of that deliciousness would go a very long way.
I see. That's a very odd thing to bring up in the middle of this, Maddie. I'm not gonna lie.
Now, a little levity never hurt anyone. Also, great icebreaker for when things are a little awkward.
I don't think it's awkward. Do you? You want to take off your mask so I can see your face? And she points to you later.
I'd rather not.
Oh no, it's fine. We're already dead. We won't hold it against you.
Apparently, India's stomach is just twisting and knots and knots and knots, and she's looking between all of them because her sire is standing right there, but then the one person that really she had on her side in Bethany that was like her is the prince. So now thinking about having to take out that one person is messing with her something terrible.
Yeah, that's almost to be expected. It's Prince Carlson Garcia is... Everyone likes to believe that they're one of a kind. Everyone likes to believe that they individually are special. They're not like all the other guys, girls, she's, theys, thems, he's, and hims. And yet, as far as you can tell, you and Prince Carlson Garcia are as close to individual as you can possibly be. Prince Carlson Garcia, as far as anyone can prove, was an escapee from the comfort houses down in New Orleans. As far as anyone can prove, she, as a woman during that time, during the late 1800s, made her way from New Orleans north. And only upon striking out in the cities nearly into Canada did she come back this way. One of the few who returned with every sense of determination to carve out a space for herself. It wasn't an easy time for women. It wasn't an easy time for anyone during that time that was not of the centrist in America. And yet she managed to do so before she died, before she was killed into this existence. And only once she became, as you all are, dead in every true sense of the word, did that strength to weather, to withstand, truly manifest itself in the way that provided her with success. The two businesses she runs in Bethany, through proxy, through family ties passed down from one to the next. Her simplistic, direct way of balancing the responsibilities of Bethany versus the individual needs of those that Bethany governs. be as she is requires an equal balance of selflessness and selfishness. The strength of kind mercy, but sheer outright determination. And as best as you can tell, as best as anyone can tell, Prince Carlson Garcia is the only of her sort. So yes, quite frankly and quite directly, you all are preparing to destroy the Mona Lisa. Or at least prepared to do so, if you can't save it.
Yet not exactly a fun position to be in. Joji's primary concern is, from the sounds of it, he's pretty much roped into one corner of this already due to his association with Asher.
There is that. And then there is the question and the consideration. Do you say yes now and mean no later? Do you say yes and mean yes? Or do you here and now take that determined stance of this is wrong, I will not put up with this shit?
Let me see. Let me read over my convictions really quickly to inform my decision. Oh shit. I would very much like to prevent the death of Bethany's prince, if possible. Or the true death, I guess.
Okay. And how do you think we could do that?
I really... Oh... Not... If put on the spot, I'm not entirely sure, but I would like to at least be given the opportunity to change her stance on this before the whole shebang kicks off.
Well, we'd hate to have to, but we need to be prepared to do so if no other plan, no other opportunity presents itself. The easiest side to take out an emperor is to take out all the kings that support them.
Yeah. I feel like it would be more beneficial to your plan if, rather than having to fight against her, we could use her to an advantageous position, either knowingly or unknowingly. I would need to study the prince a bit more, but I'm sure that I if given time, I could figure out a way. I don't know what kind of deadline you guys are working on.
As quickly as possible, because Bethany, believe it or not, is the anchor for Shreveport. It doesn't seem like it, and you guys are really, really poor and all that, but without Prince Carlson Garcia, Smith Johnson isn't as popular as many people will have you believe. He's just strong and protected and has access to a lot of kindred who are physically gifted, as well as some of them are who are tactically gifted. All of them are on the present list. One of the things that I've done for the last 4 years since I have been making visits out this way and finally moved out this way was plotting the strength of the princes in the area. And now that I'm out here permanently, and now that I've relocated and been accepted into the Chantry, well, it's time to put that knowledge to good use.
Okay. That I'm sure that'll be very, very helpful. What, based on your knowledge, would you say is the likelihood of being able to, what's the word, distract the prince until this is all good and over with? Things are already going bump down in Bethany, and it seems to have begun to spiral somewhat. I believe that if we were to increase the speed of that spiral, the prince would have our hands full and not really be too involved with what's happening in Shreveport until your efforts have come to fruition.
Well, being as you guys are going to be operating out of Shreveport for the foreseeable future, when we take care of things in Bethany, it will be on loan. We will be visiting your home to take care of the problems there. So our time will be a little more limited. But if you guys put your head together and make sure that Prince Carlson Garcia is otherwise engaged and unable to rally her forces and her support to defend, protect, and kill for Smith Johnson, I think we might have a good way forward.
All right, and just to confirm, Coleman is not obstacle to your goings-ons?
Why would he be? He's part of the linchpin for tying up Bethany outside of this supernatural shit.
I absolutely no. I needed to guarantee.
Oh no. Coleman is a great guy. I just wish his parties weren't so wild. Eventually someone's going to take notice. Eventually someone's not going to just keep turning a blind eye, but we don't need to borrow tomorrow's problems today.
Well then, yeah, no. So long as I'm happy to go along with this. Shreveport's political structure was never a real concern of mine.
That's good to know. Because at the end of the day, yes, India.
India has kind of, during the course of this conversation, gotten closer to her sire, and in a moment where Joji and this new person are talking, she kind of very gently taps her hand against her sire's hand and looks at her pointedly and very low, kind of whispers, "Family is forever." Please.
It's not to say that I don't necessarily care. It's just Bethany is my home. Bethany is my focus. He says, unaware of what's going on in the distance over there. I don't know, with heightened senses, would I pick that up?
Family is forever? Yes.
Alright, well then, rather than saying it unaware of what's happening, he's saying it specifically to occupy them while that's happening.
turns more directly to India, meeting her eyes, staring at the point of her nose, waiting for the answer of the mild question. As those two gangrel meet each other's eyes and speak in that way that only animal apex predators do, Mariella has covered the distance to Lita, looking up at her. You know that mask makes it really difficult to read your responses.
That's kind of the point.
It is, isn't it? But here we are, plotting our futures. And, well, it's difficult to know the veracity of your honesty. And that makes all the difference in the world. And not for nothing, and I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but, and, also, considering, in light of, if I can't be sure, if I don't have the grasp of where you stand, I can assure you, I promise you, you have my word. And she smiles and looks towards Maddie, then Joji, then pantomimes a really big, lean back as she stares at the two gangrel on the opposite side of the room. I can assure you that things may not work out the best for everyone. And just to give you an understanding, where I'm from, there's this ridiculously chaotic coterie that ran roughshod over Prince Jackson. You've heard of Prince Jackson, right? So they literally tore up the city. They took out Primogen members and got away with it. They kicked the ass of the local Archons, the Wolf Pack. Well, they're not Archons anymore. But, and everywhere they went, chaos followed. But the one thing you could never doubt was that they were all in on everything that they were doing. It's the reason why as many of their members met the final death, were run out of town, or from what I hear, beheaded and left on the roofs of the Harold Washington Library. As many of those things happened, that core group, that coterie, were all in. And for what we're doing, for what sits in front of us, for the dissemination of power, the sharing of power with everyone, instead of it being held in the hands of the few, it being parceled out, each according to their measure. Instead of the secrets of the universe being tied behind a paywall, free for everyone willing to delve. But we need to make sure, we need to be able to attest that you are not standing in the way of progress, that you are not a Benedict Arnold sitting here amongst us, that you're not the nail that refused to go into the horse's shoe that cost the entirety of the empire. Because also, back where I'm from, back in Chicago, we've had 4 major anarch revolts, and each of them fell by the wayside, even the ones supported by the Primogen, because there was always a traitor in the midst. So for our sake, for the sake of the future, let us see your face.
While that's going on and having halfway listened to all of the things she said, she's looking at her sire and they haven't broken eye contact. But in answer to the question that she was asked, you chose me, and I choose you. So whatever it is we need to do. It goes quiet again.
So while Joji has the opportunity of hearing that exchange of trust, Mariella is focused on Lita. And while Mariella is focused on Lita, what is it that Joji and Maddie are preparing to do? If anything.
Ooh. I suppose the best way to really, because like hearing the one thing go down in the background that very much seems like I know I don't want to participate in this, and knowing kind of Lita's attachment to her mask, I'm preparing for the worst. I am preparing to. I know that the prince is at least in this building somewhere. I know that he would not necessarily approve, but I also don't know if that would be enough to save us. So I guess just looking for exits, ways for us to get out of here. Because I don't know if I can trust India's sire. And I know I definitely cannot trust this Tremere. So, trying to get everyone in here the fuck out of here if things go sideways is my approach and thought process. So I'm just looking for ways out.
Maddie is walking up just a little bit behind Mariella and, kind of bouncing back and forth on the balls of her feet.
Kind of every tool in his tool belt just running. What's the word? Give me a second. I'm gonna try and look up what this particular ability does. See, this is not what I wanted it to be. It said something that made me think it was something else, and now I am sad.
But you're still gifted with the promise of immortality, so there's that. You are still this side of the just desserts of your life lived. Lita, as you and Mariella make eye contact, as you sit there with her, as over her shoulder you see Maddie very much warming up for a bout of some sort. What does Lita do? What does Lita say?
I think I'll take my mask off just to de-escalate things.
Now, does your mask slide up, or is there a tie at the rear of it?
Probably a tie.
Okay. So as you reach behind your head, through all of those surprisingly long, luxurious red locks, and once it's loose, grab the chin of it and begin removing it from her face, which hasn't been her face since the moment of her death. Mariella smiles. There she is. There's Miss Gorgeous. So, Lita, right? You're with us, aren't you?
Well, seems that way.
Yes, but we all know that looks can be quite deceiving. And she leans in, taking a step forward, wrapping her arm around you as if she is, in fact, going to throw you into a headlock and give you a nookie, but instead she actually just hugs you. Joji, are you actively attempting to suss out anything different in the room? Anything that...
Yeah. I know initially when India Sire was here, I couldn't see them, but I could feel that coldness on the wind, as well as I'm trying to figure out if there's more here than meets the eye. Hiding, listening.
Excellent. Would you be so kind as to go ahead and roll your wits plus auspics?
Wits plus aspects. Alright, let's get this shit, boys. Where is it at? Boop. You know, I've not gone into the negatives in any of my pools yet. Am I allowed to rouse?
Sure, why not?
Absolutely. Beautiful. Alright.
When the hug happens, Maddie will take a step back and rest her weight on one foot. Just kind of cross her arms and shrug a little.
Wow, Joji, that is quite the roll. That is absolutely surprising. You didn't say a prayer before that roll, did you?
I always say a prayer. Thank you, Satan.
as Mariella leans back, smiling. She rests both hands against Lita's cheek. So, we're all on the same accord, right? Right?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware.
Excellent. It's always good to have friends. And the moment she says that, the towel you've laid over Miss Logan's face is flung away. Bro moves, putting her body between the sitting up desiccation that was Miss Logan. She puts herself between Miss Logan and India. Mariella turns, staying behind Maddie. Ah, shit, we took too long, Mariella says.
Too long for what?
And as you, and everyone in the room stares at the rising assemblage that was Miss Logan, the strange leaking of blood from the eyes and the ears, and from the fingernail beds, and a desiccated, almost mummified corpse is off-putting, because that shouldn't be possible. Everyone knows and understands you cannot get blood from a stone. And on that note, it is 11:11. I want to thank you all for a lovely episode, and I will see you guys next time in Season 3.